Hey guys, this is Vol. Welcome to another Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report as usual. Skaven versus Empire this time back at Phil's place, and this is my first game of 8th edition against Phil. You've seen many games between himself and myself at this location, and he's actually cracked out his river for this game, and using the Gale Force 9, I believe, partitions here to actually put a river right across the middle of the battlefield. You wouldn't see this in 7th edition because rivers count as difficult terrain, slowing everybody down. It's a bit of a drag, and terrain works differently in 8th edition. So what happens is you move into the river, then you roll to see what kind of river it is, and then you apply the effects for the rest of the game. So that was quite interesting. We'll come to that later. But for now, you see the deployment. I've deployed everybody spaced out a bit more, following the 1 inch away rules a bit more carefully this time, getting a bit more used to 8th edition in general. I've got the Screaming Bell in a middle location there. I've got my big horde units of Skaven slaves and rats this time in new movement trays, ready to go over that hill and get engaged against the enemy horde of flagellants, or at least actually seeing the horde rules kicked into action this game. The Doom Wheel is over there next to the rat ogres and the slaves, so the plan there is to move the Doom Wheel in between the forest and the slaves, closer to the slaves, of course, to avoid electrocuting my rat ogres and killing them all. And of course, I've got a unit of gutter runners in the forest there. So looking forward to this game. It's about time I played against Phil in 8th, and this won't be the last game we play. Just looking to try the river out as well. Next image shows you a look at the Screamer Bell there. I've actually got the BSB in the unit this time, so remembered how the rule works properly. I've actually got a couple of flamethrowers, so warp fire throwers in this army. I think they are fantastic, especially in 8th edition when you're going to be up against big horde units. If you can even get one decent shot off with those flamethrowers, they just pay their points back. So I'm a fan of taking at least 2 in this army. Might even get 3 in there at some point. Next image just got Phil's stuff lined up around here. He's got a unit of handgunners about to move into the building, and a big unit of knights, which are not very good in 7th anymore, but at least he's got somewhere swift to move his level 4 wizard and his arc collector. So he's actually got 2 lord choices in this battle report. That's right, in 8th edition you can take more than 1 lord choice, so long as the combined total of your points spent on lords is less than a quarter of what your total army value is. He's got a mortar and a cannon on the hill. I'm glad he doesn't have any more war machines than that, apart from the steam tank, of course. Well, actually he does. He has the Hellblaster, but he seems to have deployed it on the flank there, a little bit out of range of the stuff that you really should be shooting at. The Horde of Flagellants really, Phil's model collection here is designed for, 7th edition and not 8th, so I don't want, heaps of people trying to post in this video explaining, what he's done wrong in his army. Obviously, we've all been hit by the new rules very quickly. We don't have time to sort of paint up big units of 100 guys straight away, so we're doing it with what we can. Phil's gone with a big unit of Flagellants, and I actually think that's awesome. I'm really, really keen to see how it does this game. He's got 2 units of Pistoliers, which are just fantastic. You want those Pistoliers. They are a longer range now and very good with the new rules. Next image shows you some of the cards that Phil's got with his rulebook. He's gone for Law of Heavens this game, purely just because he wanted to try out the Cassandora's Comet, but he didn't even roll it, which is disappointing. Instead, he's got Wind Blast, Curse of the Midnight Wind, Chain Lightning, and Neuron's Thunderbolt. If you guys are familiar with the rules, you'll actually know what they do. The most powerful one in this particular instance, I think, is Chain Lightning, just due to the potential damage it can wreak just going off in your army, never stopping. Next photo, looking out a little bit, he's got his other unit of Pistoliers on the left-hand flank and a steam tank over here. Looks like he's got his heavier stuff on the left-hand side of the flank in the middle. And I've got really a mishmash of stuff over there. I've got the Plague Monks and the Plague Censer Bearers, but that's about it. So we'll see how that actually goes. In the next picture, Phil's taken the first turn, and I really love this photo because he's moved his handgunners into the building, and you get a sort of foreground view of them up top there, but in the background of the photo you can see his units moving to the base of the river, to the banks of the river, to cross in the background. I think this is great photography here, just a real sort of battle-style stuff, very cinematic, and with the river rushing away in the background and the Skaven approaching the sort of the border of the Empire lands and the sort of outlands, not part of the kingdom type thing. So I think that's quite cool. Next image, he's galloping around over here and into the river. Now we've discovered that this river is actually a raging torrent. I believe it is called. And what that means is that if you roll a 1 when you're going through it as normal, you die because you get sucked under and you just dragged into the water. Also, if you are in the water, you are +3 to initiative because somehow the freezing cold of the water invigorates you. It sounds like it's the wrong way around. Really, it should slow you down rather than speeding you up. I don't really know, but that's what GW was actually written. Also, you lose your ranks if you're in the river too. So this is going to be a bit of a tactical game, trying to actually get across the river without actually being in the river itself. So to defend, your side, you just need to camp your guys on the other side of the river opposite your opponents. Gutter runners behind the trees here, just getting ready to creep in front of the knights. Next image, on the other flank, the Pistoliers moving around, having lost a member of their little party to the river itself. Man, that Raging Torrent totally sucked one of those horses underneath, and these guys weren't skilled enough to jump it without losing one of their members, so that's what's happened here. In the next picture, it's my responding turn, and moving out full force. I've actually lost a few slaves here to shooting or magic or whatever it was, and they've moved up into the hill, ready to take on the flagellants. And moving up with the warp fire throwers, aren't really able to fire them off yet, and the sensor bearers moving forward as fast as possibly can. I don't really mind if the tank charges them, because then I can really just bog it down with my plague monks early on in the game, and just to prevent it from doing damage to the core of my army, which I think will be winning the game if I do manage to win it. Next image, the Night Runners have charged across the river and losing the ranks of the river, but I figured if I could get enough attacks here, 15 attacks in total, I should be able to win the combat, and I had the charging bonus as well. But what actually happened here is I rolled abysmally, and the Pistoliers totally blew these guys out of the water and killed them all in combat, so I couldn't really get the job done with this little flanking maneuver. In the meantime, in the background, you can see the Radogos moving into the forest. Next image shows you his knights here, which have the gutter runners poised in front of them to throw throwing stars when they charge, and really just delay them from hitting the side of the Skaves in the background, and really just waiting for me to hit them with the Radogos when I can. Doomwheel up, bringing up the rear, just zapping trying to restrain from zapping the slaves in the meantime while get everybody in position. Next image, he's decided to charge a steam tank at the slaves. He was a bit worried about that horde unit, partially because I'd cast Death Frenzy on that slave unit, and that was the plan all along. Get Death Frenzy on that unit, because that means they're pumping out, 30 attacks in the front, plus 20 supporting attacks. That's 50 attacks from the slaves, and the slaves are initiative 4, so they would be striking before the flagellants. So in a combat involving both the slave unit and the flagellant unit, you can expect the slaves to win if they've got Death Frenzy. So he's actually charging the flank here, killing a whole number of slaves with this attack, but bogging down the steam tank. So I'm not too worried about that, because it means if the flagellants charge in the front, I'll get those attacks anyway, and in the meantime the steam tank can't do any damage to the rest of my army, and that's just an 80-point slave unit. You've got 40 guys there, an entire horde unit for 80 points, and that's what I'm loving about Skaven at the moment. Next image, we've got a combat here, the knights charging in at the gutter runners, and really just engaging them in combat. I threw some throwing stars at them, I think picking off one of the knights as a casualty, so I was quite pleased about that. In the next image, the Pistoliers who have wiped out all of my Night Runners have moved around here to shoot at the Radogos, I believe, and I think they managed to pick off the Packmaster in that little round and that little volley. In the meantime, the Doomwheelers rolled, 13 for movement. That was in my turn. I've just left the dice there to show us how much speed it had. Next image, the assassin pops out of the unit, but I made a stupid mistake here. Just can't believe how badly I'm playing over these new games of 8th edition. Not really remembering that, of course, I didn't have a champion in this unit, so all he has to do here is challenge. And because I don't want to accept with the assassin, because he's got Van Horstman Speculum on his Arc Lector, I decided to decline, putting the assassin to the back rank. Now, I managed to cleverly create a back rank here by displacing one of the gutter runners to the back rank and then swapping the front model for the assassin. So that worked out all right. I did lose combat, killed a couple of knights, luckily, with the gutter runners somehow, and broke, and the assassin ran away and managed to avoid the knights, actually rolled higher than they did. So that was quite fortunate. The next